Uh, and, and so welcome. So I'm going to start off this meeting where everybody is going to be participating with a reflection. So my reflection for this evening is in consideration of the spring equinox that has since passed, yet seems now to feel present. Ancients once called this time the light of the earth. This is the radiance that is starting to become visible in growing things, unfolding in the spring warmth. The children's classic, The Secret Garden, celebrates this in an encounter with magic. Colin, one of the children in the story, speaks of this spirit. Sometimes since I've been in the garden, I've looked up through the trees at the sky, and I have had a strange feeling of being happy, as if something was pushing and drawing in my chest and making me breathe fast. Magic is always pushing and drawing and making things out of nothing. Everything is made out of magic: leaves and trees, flowers and birds, badgers and foxes and squirrels and people. So it must be all around us, in this garden, in all places. The earth motherly Mrs. Sowerby does not call it magic. She offers another name, the good thing, and later, the joy maker. I never noted by that name, but what does a name matter? I once called it different names in France and different ones in Germany. The same thing, except the seeds swelling and the sun shining made thee a well lad, and it's a good thing. It isn't like poor folks as think it matters if us is called out of our names. The big good thing doesn't stop to worry it, bless thee. It goes on making worlds by the million, worlds like us. Never thee stop believing in the big good thing and knowing the world's full of it, and call it what thou likes. Thou were singing it when I came into the garden. May we continue singing. And so I think this is a time for all of the beautiful pictures that Dee has of the blueberries and all of the things that have been happening with her. That was a big day.
This one's a little blurry, but can you still see my screen? Oh, great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to start with this one, and then if you want to give us a little intro, Dee, and then I'll move to the next one, where they aren't so blurry.
This was actually Saturday. We need to start with the Friday photos of the demonstration downtown Pittsburgh with the sunrise movement on Earth Day.
Okay, I'll have to go here then.
There we go. There we go. This was Friday, Earth Day. In Sunrise are the high school students who were demonstrating in downtown Pittsburgh in front of the county courthouse and asserting their concerns about the impact that the climate change is having on them and their future. The program lasted about 2 hours. I had counted about 150 kids, and then I stopped counting. Said there was probably 150 to 200 kids there. And they, whenever Sunrise does demonstrations, there's always police presence they close off the streets, they shut down the buses, they shut down anything where the kids are for protection. So that they are very safe when they do these demonstrations. They also had musicians there, and they were singing, and the children then, after a few announcements, proceeded through downtown Pittsburgh, maybe for a mile and a half, and then returned to the courthouse, where they continued to have different discussions. The unfortunate thing is that the media in the city of Pittsburgh does not care enough to cover the events that our children, when they have demonstrations, result, they just don't even show up, which I think is very unfortunate that our kids aren't getting that kind of support. But that is how we celebrated Earth Day on Friday. And then we can move to the Saturday, the blueberry distribution. So on Saturday, we distributed 1,000 blueberry bushes to dozens of communities throughout Pittsburgh, mostly frontline communities. Usually they were community gardens, but we also delivered to individuals. And then these photos are some examples of Bugs community, with Cuiba Bay is in that photo. And she is the manager in Homewood of that community garden. There's also Free there, who is her manager. We delivered to Sokofa Village. We delivered to a Hazelwood Initiative, which they had organized a distribution of 400 blueberry bushes to that community. And what we did after we delivered in the Homewood area, we went to Hazelwood and set up tents. And they had a really big Earth Day celebration with tents and food and musicians and many different vendors. There was Tree Pittsburgh was there. And there were just tents everywhere for people to come and pick up their blueberry bushes. And then those who didn't pick up their orders, we distributed to anyone who was still there at the festival. We just gave them away, so that all the blueberry bushes were given away, along with instructions on how to care for them.
So I wanted to point out that Bob Mitchell's congregation, the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh on the corner of Moorwood and Ellsworth, was a big contributor this year to the Blueberry Project, with over $500 collected in a special offering initiative that Bob spearheaded. So we really appreciate that. And you can see they went to good use, Bob. So if you would like copies of any of these photos, I'd be happy to, if Dee gives permission. And I guess the folks that we planted with, do we need to get their permission to share?
No, that's fine. You can have the photos. And we also distributed blueberry bushes in the South Hills to 2 shim gardens, one in Bethel Park and one in Whitehall. So they still, I don't think, have planted theirs yet. They were looking for different locations. They just had some logistical issues with planting. So the people that were unable to plant them, they could pot the plants. Like Hilltop Community Farm received 75 bushes, and they weren't able to plant them all at one time. So they're gonna pot them and plant them at future plantings. And also the Bugs community, they received 75 bushes, and some they used to plant in their own gardens to feed the community, and others they distributed to the local residents. So the bushes were widely distributed throughout the Pittsburgh area. And BUG stands for Black Urban Gardening, Black Urban Gardeners, BUG, BUGS.
That's a great group. You gave some to Ballfield Farm too, did you not?
Ballfield Farm received them, Hilltop, Sokofa, Garfield Farm, some private residences. I mean, there was 1,000. I mean, at least a dozen community farms, predominantly in the east, but we did have a shim in the South Hills that requested them also.
Portland Garden gave them to the parents and children of the children that participate in the summer program Art in the Garden, and they were really well received. It was It was really wonderful to be able to do that.
Yeah, the reason we chose the blueberry bushes was some communities don't really want trees. Trees is a heavy lift as far as maintenance and care, and it's just can be too much sometimes when environmental groups kind of go into these urban areas and just, want to plant trees everywhere. The communities don't always want them. So we wanted to have an alternative that we could offer that would sequester the carbon. These are um, high bush blueberries. So they grow 6 to 7 feet. So they're kind of like a mini tree. They're going to be huge bushes. They'll yield 6 to 7 pints of blueberries. They're a hybrid that we had shipped in from Massachusetts. So they have a good chance of surviving. And we gave instructions on how to prepare the soil and to maintain the bushes. So with the amount of instruction and the supervision from the community farms, we're expecting to have a lot of success with the planting of these bushes. And then hopefully, that provides nourishment for these communities and hopefully inspires them to want to take further steps, maybe to having their own garden or potting their own tomato plants or wherever that will lead to. The bushes were an easier start, I think, for people. And I distributed a lot of them. And I can tell you, these people were so excited to get their blueberry bushes. I just couldn't believe how enthused they were. And they, I'd be handing them written instructions. They, I already read the instructions. Oh, I already prepared my yard. Oh, I can't wait to take these home and put them in my yard. So I was really excited with the amount of enthusiasm and the receptivity that people had towards getting blueberry bushes. I had no idea when we started this idea like 9 months ago, we just kind of tossing it around last summer, that it would explode to the extent that it did. We certainly weren't anticipating having to distribute 1,000 of them. And we certainly weren't expecting this many communities to be involved. So it was really a very successful project.
I got to tell you, it was just really, really, as you say, successful. But boy, the work and the amount of time and effort that you and others put into it was just kind of amazing. So this is a real example of what you can do as a community. Thank you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate hearing about it and definitely pass it along to the folks at First Unitarian. And Barbara Litt's on too. She's also from First Church there, and so this will be really great feedback to give to folks. And most of it's happening sort of in that neighborhood, I guess. You're not too far away from it, so it's exciting to hear about.
Thank you for supporting us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, our pleasure.
And we're going to continue this project, correct, Dee? This is something that we hope to continue. We applied for 2 Duquesne Light Community Impact Grants last year. We only received 1, and it was to directly fund improvements at Ballfield Farm on the north side. But then we're hoping the other one was for an expansion of the Pittsburgh Blueberry Project. So it seems in these applications with Duquesne Light that you have to apply at least twice. So I think when I apply the second time for this one, it's coming up in June. So I'm getting ready for that. When I share these photographs of how you're making an impact here, I'm guessing we're going to get that one this time. So your fingers crossed.
Yeah, the project totally is contingent upon the money we receive because we have to buy the bushes from a farm in Massachusetts, and we paid them like 6 months in advance. So it's really what we get. So
yeah, and I'll save all the PA IPL updates for the very end, but this is something that we want to expand across the state. So I think we could have a Harrisburg Blueberry Project, a Lancaster Blueberry Project, a Philadelphia Blueberry Project, an Erie, a state college. So we're just going to keep this rolling. Does anybody else have any other exciting Earth Day stories to share? Do you mind if I share another one, Wanda?
Go right ahead.
I was hoping that Gail Neustadt would be with us. She signed up for the meeting tonight, but I don't see her. She didn't try to come in yet. She's part of the sisterhood at Congregation Bethel in the South Hills, and they attended Mount Lebanon's Earth Day celebration this year. Unfortunately, I was out of town on a family mission, so I was not able to attend. So I was hoping she could describe it for you, but from what I saw in those photos, which I don't have to share with you, but it was a big success. It was 80 degrees and sunny and bright, and everybody from chickens. One of our typical neighbors here shares his backyard chickens with everybody that day. Bartlett Trees, for the second time in a row, came with 250 tree seedlings to give away. And there was everybody from the Green Party through Environmental Health Project, League of Women Voters, composting people, Pittsburgh Center for Creative Reuse even came this year. We only had 2 food vendors sign up, and they were local, but they were sustainable. And we had Zero Fossil. It was a zero energy event because Zero Fossil brought their juice boxes. It was a zero waste event because the PRC loaned us their zero waste stations. And the PRC gave a rain barrel workshop and a composting workshop. So those were attended by at least 20 families or 20 people. And it was in conjunction with an electric vehicle event that Rep. Dan Miller from our district here put on this year. So I think that was a big draw. So he had folks from Duquesne Light and Rick Price from Pittsburgh Region Clean Cities come out, along with 8 EV owners, not sellers, not commercial car dealers, so that these EV owners could dispel any fears that potential EV buyers would have in the near future. So I think that was a big success. I'm hoping in the future that I don't have to go away for Earth Day on a regular basis, but it would be wonderful if PA IPL could have a presence at all of these Earth Day celebrations around our region, which, because of our small staff, we're probably going to have to rely on some of you to help us with. So let's hope our numbers keep growing. And then we'll be doing that in Philadelphia and Harrisburg and Lancaster and State College, and then other regions where we open up chapters as well. So that, does anybody have any Arbor Day events that they have coming up that they want to share? I know Tree Pittsburgh's doing a big planting for Arbor Day. So if you want to volunteer and participate in something by Tree Pittsburgh planting for Arbor Day, drop me an email at outreach@paipl.org and I'll try to connect you with them. I wonder if Joe Guthrie would be willing to share his experience with Raucous, because I know I think you all participated, correct, Wanda?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we learned a lot about our house and how tight it is and how our indoor weather or atmosphere compares to outdoor. And yeah, it was good. It was pretty intense. We had 2 meetings a week, and let's see, I think Bob, you were on that as well, right? And
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
So we had Bob and somebody else from out in that area. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you want to chime in, Bob? Maybe you have a little different experience, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. And it, as people know, you get they loan you a bunch of monitors so you can monitor your air quality in a couple spaces inside and then also outside. And there's a lot of emphasis on comparing those two. And it was kind of interesting and a little shocking how high the particle content got outside at times. And my wife Linda and I discovered or realized that what we were already doing with our heating and cooling system, which is basically running the fans all the time, which is somewhat expensive, also does a really good job of basically, getting rid of those the particles that are generally outside. So, it was very interesting. We also found out that we're going to have to do some radon remediation. So it's good to know that. It wasn't a happy thing to find, but yeah, I agree with Joe that it's very useful.
Yeah, so I'd like to add to that. I raised my hand, but I wasn't in this cohort, but I've been a longtime participant of Raucous. And so the first time, maybe it was 2017, after the first cohort, I don't know what we did, but one of their energy guys actually came with the blower door. And the first thing he found was that our flue had been open the whole 20 years that we've been living in our house. The outdoor particulates track the indoor particulates quite closely with a little time delay. And so he was pretty easy for him to go up over to the old fireplace that is not usable and close the flue. And that was, so then we did another cohort after we did a bunch of sealing and insulation, and we're still in a different version of Raucous. We still have monitors, and we don't have the ones you have to read yourself. And so they're still getting data from us, and it's been really nice to be part of that while we remediated. Remediation's not the word, right? Rehabilitated our house, insulated and sealed, etc. So just because you did one cohort, it doesn't mean you're out of the system. If you want to keep in touch and keep doing it, they probably would be happy, especially if you don't live in Squirrel Hill, where they have a really high density of participants. So.
Well, it's kind of funny because we're missing all of our monitors, so maybe we need cohort.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I also, I can't say enough good things about the really basic fan filter. We have one that we tried out with them. It's just a box fan, and you put a MERV 13 filter on it, and there it is, and it cleans the air really well. And it's been essential in Pittsburgh with the, on bad air days. Just turn it on, and it drops the particulate levels down, pretty quickly.
Wow.
And it's cheap. And
Good to know.
Yeah.
Where do you get these filters?
I got my first one from Raucous, and then that was good for about a year. And then I looked online, and I ended up buying 4 from some filter, dealer. I didn't buy them on Amazon. I would be concerned that they might say MERV 13, but not really be MERV 13 if I didn't get them from a reputable source.
And can you spell that, MERV? I want
It's MERV. And you
Okay.
can find them in different ratings, but 13 is the minimum that is recommended for really good cleaning of the air. And it helps with COVID particulate too, with the aerosols. So anyway.
That's good to know. Thank you.
I did a Raucous cohort probably about 10 years ago. And as I suspected, I pretty much live in a screen porch. So our house is incredibly leaky. And since then, we hadn't been able to do very much, but we had some water damage a year ago, and we're still rolling through this construction project. So as part of that, we just spray foam insulated with an open cell spray foam our band joist area or rim joist area, which is the space between the top of your concrete block foundation wall and the bottom of your first floor joist. and our attic. And our house already feels like a different environment. It's much quieter. It's much, it feels more solid and stable and safe. And as we move through the areas where we had to remediate plaster, where we had to actually demolish plaster because it got wet, we're going to be spray foaming all of those exterior walls. So it feels a lot better in those areas too. I wish we could just gut the house and do it everywhere, but it's impossible to do that. But we also replaced our damper, Barbara, at the top of the chimney, and found it made a huge difference as well.
Mm.
So if you all have fireplaces, for years we had just plastic taped over our fireplace opening with duct tape. It was very attractive. And but we couldn't stand it. It was freezing in the wintertime, and we could feel every time the wind blew, we could feel air coming up or down depending on the temperature. And then when we installed the plastic, it was hysterical. It was like a huge diaphragm. It would just get sucked into the opening, pushed out all the time. It was so I know that can make a huge difference for you too. And I really wanted to be part of this cohort that Bob and Joe and Wanda were part of, but with this construction, it wouldn't have made any sense because we have dust everywhere. But I'd like to see what happens when we're finished, to see if what we did makes a difference. But Linda said they're not sure. Linda Wigington, the organizer, is not sure when they're going to have another cohort, but I'll keep in touch with her for sure. And if you all hear from her, let us know. It'd be great if we could organize another PA IPL group for her.
Yes, it would.
One thing we learned was the impact of cooking in our house. You can really put a lot of particles in the air depending on what you cook and how you cook and all that sort of thing. So we're much more mindful of that. That was probably, and we're actually trying out an induction cooktop thing, and we'll probably get something permanent, so that the whole thing around cooking was a learning experience for us.
How are you adjusting to the induction? Do you like it?
So we're kind of done using it now. It worked pretty well. It just took some getting used to. Otherwise we have gas, and you're just used to that. But yeah, we do intend to probably get what amounts to like a single burner thing, and to buy that and go ahead and use it. But it's fairly I think you adapt to it pretty quickly, and it's nice that in contrast to normal electric, it heats up and cools down much more quickly than a typical resistive electric heating. So it's a little bit like gas in that way.
It really is. We have an induction stovetop and a convection oven, and it really is so wonderful, and I really just like to tell people, if you're going to get a new stove, this is the way to go, because it really does, react like gas does. And it's cool all the time. You could put things all over the burners, and there's nothing, just the pot that it gets hot. It's really good. I think one of the things that we learned with all of our filters is that every time we walked by the filter, the numbers would go up, and we felt like Pigpen. It was like it was really kind of not too kind to know that.
The other thing we learned was that our humidifier was putting a lot of particles in the air. We had a kind of a humidifier that just atomizes the water, and we weren't using deionized water, so we were just putting many particles in the air. And when we stopped using that, our air really improved. So yeah, that was a surprise. I never dreamed that would happen.
Thanks for putting together the presentation that you did in the last class. I mean, that was really nice.
Thank you.
Oh, would you like to share that with us sometime? I'm really interested.
I could. I think I think I could find it. I don't know.
When did you actually just turn off your humidifier, or did you switch to ionized water?
We just turned it off. Yeah, it was going to be too expensive to use the ionized water, so we just stopped using it.
Yeah.
And did you really think it was particles from the water itself, like harmful particles, or do you think it was just moisture droplets?
No, it was actually particles because, in fact, I think Bob pointed this out. When you generate steam, like when you're cooking, that really doesn't increase the particle count. But yeah, according to the folks from Raucus, they've seen this before, that when you don't, there are kinds of humidifiers you can buy that don't do that, like the ones with the drum, which just evaporate water, or steam, that works. But yeah, when you just atomize the water, we have so many particles in our water in Pittsburgh that they just picked up and by the equipment, and yeah, it was surprising.
So I'm just curious, this is kind of a personal thing, but I have to use a CPAP machine. And so I use distilled water in there, and it's always worried me that I'd be breathing this stuff, whatever would be. But if it's distilled water, I should be okay, shouldn't I?
I think so, yeah.
But you use a little bit in your CPAP, you use a lot in a humidifier.
Yeah, that's true too.
I guess, Kathy, you have something on the voluntary participant in City of Pittsburgh Energy and Water. What is this about? Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Well, ages ago, when I was sustainability manager with the county, I worked quite a bit with the City of Pittsburgh staff in the Department of Innovation and Performance. And actually, I went to school with their energy advisor. Her name is Flor Marion. And Flor and her intern, Jessie Blitz, are inviting us, any organization, but primarily congregations, they would like to take part in their benchmarking ordinance. So the benchmarking ordinance was implemented, I believe, in 2019, perhaps 2018, and she's going to give you all the particulars about that very soon. And it requires that all commercial buildings within the city limits that are over 50,000 square feet, so that's a fairly large facility, benchmark their energy and water use through the EPA's Energy Star Portfolio Manager platform. Now, this is a very easy platform to use. We used it at the county for all the county buildings, and organizations can easily put together a quick portfolio in Portfolio Manager, more affectionately known as PM. And that can include your energy use, which you just pick up from your electricity bills, and your water use that you pick up from your water bills. You just have to make sure you have your units correct when you're entering them. You don't want to be entering 100 gallons or 1,000 gallons when you're using the other one, or kilowatts when you're using watts. But most people are using kilowatt hours and 100 gallons. Any kind of government facility or authority facility or nonprofit, which would relate to faith-based organizations, can voluntarily participate. And it would help the city quite a bit if we can organize our groups to participate for the city. They're primarily looking for organizations that are 50,000 square feet and over, but you don't have to be 50,000 square feet. So anybody can participate. And all of this data collection will be used to help them reach their net zero goals. So I think they're going for net zero by 2050. So it'll help them to track the city as a whole. And then eventually they'd like to reach out into Allegheny County, probably in another year or so when we have an administration change. We'll be able to see other organizations from around the region participate as well. So I'm going to be sending out an invitation as soon as I receive some timing from Floor, but it'll probably be mid-May, May 11th through 13th. And I don't have an exact time yet, but Floor and Jesse will explain the whole system, and we'll be able to work. I can work with an organization to help them set up a portfolio manager account, or we can get the Green Building Alliance involved and they can send somebody out to your facility to work with you as well. So we'll be trying to recruit all of our faith-based organizations to take part in this.
That's a really great initiative.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They did so much in that Office of Sustainability or Innovation. It eventually became the Department of Innovation and Performance. So far, Floor and Jesse are working very comfortably in the new administration. And Rebecca Kiernan, who was the Chief Resilience Officer, is still there working with them. And Grant Irvin, though, the director of the department, moved on. So I don't know if he's been replaced yet. They might move Rebecca up, but she's quite good. So we shall see. But they're doing they're doing a lot there, and they're trying to keep that rolling and then move that still in more of a climate justice manner, which probably was a little bit lacking in the previous administration.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really good. I mean, it really is how communities can help their city, and city can help the communities on these. Yeah, so that's something to be able to get out to all our faith communities. Wow, thank you. Yeah. Well, you say you have a lot of PA IPL updates from.
I have a few more. Does anybody else want to share though before I don't want to be dominating? I feel like I'm dominating the meeting here.
Okay, well, I'll say that our Quaker meeting, Pittsburgh Friends meeting, has a lovely pollinator garden that we've worked on, and we dedicated that this last week, and sang. Joe brought his banjo, and we sang the garden song, and we're hoping also to do something for the summer solstice. And so I'd kind of like to hear from other people who are maybe in their faith communities working on some wonderful things.
I can share that next month at our church, the congregation has the annual meeting, and we're going to vote on a proposal to undertake an environmental justice initiative and spend a year, or perhaps 2 years, focusing on that. And I think something will happen, and I hope there's a lot of support for it. And the kind of underlying idea is that we know that we've kind of historically had kind of a group of people who are interested in climate environment, specifically, and a group of people who are interested in racial justice specifically. And the idea is to find things to do together that really are at the intersection of that. And it really, things like bugs, I think, are at that intersection. I hope that it's just sort of a plan and a gleam in the eye right now, but hopefully something will come out of that.
Yeah, that and Bible Center Church in Homewood is another one that has done some environmental things that are kind of good for companioning with. Yeah.
I think on Earth Day, John Creasy from the Open Door Church and Wayne Younger from Open Hand Ministries had an announcement at Valley View Presbyterian to kind of inaugurate their solar panels, but also to is that right? Did they go ahead with that? Unfortunately, I wasn't here, so.
I'm pretty sure they did. And this is terrible because I don't know for sure, but they had a big thing at Valley View. So that may have been it.
Mhm. And along with Patty DeMarco, who couldn't be here tonight because of her Borough Council meeting in Forest Hills, we're working with Pittsburgh 350 Pittsburgh and the Green New Deal Pittsburgh and folks at the Theological Seminary and Beulah Presbyterian and Open Hand and John Creasy and Henry McKay from Solar United Neighbors to try to increase the amount of solar panels that are installed in climate justice communities. The reason we're working with Open Hand is because over the past 10 years, Open Hand has renovated at least 13 properties in the Garfield neighborhood to very high standards, both quality of life wise and energy efficiency wise. So they're very conservation minded homes and families. And the same 13 families are living in those homes as were 10 years ago. So we're hoping to find funding for that group of people to reduce their utility burden even further and reduce their carbon footprint even further by finding solar panels for them through Solar United Neighbors, probably through a co-op. Because you're probably all familiar with the co-ops that Solar United Neighbors has implemented throughout our region over the past few years. So they're on their fourth one now, I believe. So if anybody doesn't have panels in a residential installation and wants them, I believe their fourth Allegheny County Solar Co-op is still open. If you want to reach out, I can connect you with Henry McKay from Solar United Neighbors. You might still be able to get in on that contract. And they've been so successful. If you don't or you're not ready, I'm sure there'll be a fifth one within a year. So there'll be plenty of time to connect with that. So that was very exciting. And that's why we need to clone ourselves so we can be at all of these organizational meetings and make sure we're all doing whatever we can.
This is great. I haven't heard about Open Hands for a little while, and this is really great news. Thank you.
Yeah, we're hoping that we can use this as a model. So we'll also be reaching out to them with blueberries and more opportunities for organic gardening. And we have a new person with us, Reverend Thomas. We can reach out to them with more opportunities to build a sustainable community around these renovated homes and solar panel homes. So we'll be going a long way towards building an eco-justice community. And then we can take that to elected officials and show them what can happen when funding and energy is around a project. And then we can hopefully take that to a larger scale, both here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, and then also all across the state or across the nation. So fingers crossed, lots of grants out there for these kinds of projects, but we need to have a success story, something to tell, a story to tell, and with data and documented success, and then we can build on that. So we're going to keep moving forward with that. Anybody else have anything else they want to share?
I raised my hand. I don't have anything to share, but I thought that we were going to do introductions, and I certainly don't know everyone here, although I do know a fair number of you. But did I see that on the agenda at the beginning?
No, and I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll stop then.
I guess we can't. Do you want to, Wanda? Do it.
Okay, I'm going to let you lead it off, Barb, and tell us where you're from. And yes.
Okay, so my congregation is First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. So I have the pleasure of working with Bob, and I haven't been here in a long time. It's nice to come back. I'm mainly a working stiff right now, and but I teach, so my values are very much involved in that, and taking care of my mother who has dementia. So that's why I don't get out to meetings much these days, or even into meetings, but I love being able to go to meetings on Zoom. So thank you. And let's see, I'm gonna, Dee, I don't know you, so I'm gonna call on you. Maybe I should know you, but
Hi, I'm Dee Kacherka. I'm on the board of PA IPL. I'm a retired registered nurse, and I headed the Pittsburgh Blueberry Project, which I had spoke about at the beginning program.
And I'm Wanda Guthrie, and I'm a convener, although I have not been active for PA IPL Pittsburgh chapter. And I am a Quaker from Pittsburgh Friends Meeting and a member of Borland Garden. And right now I've been pretty busy working with police accountability and prison reform, and besides doing environment. And I am really thankful for Zoom meetings because the last couple of years would have been very lonely. And I'm going to call on Joe Guthrie.
I think Wanda covered everything and much more than I do. And I don't know if she said we live in East Liberty or not, but anyway, yeah, that's about it for me. Was I supposed to call on somebody?
Yes.
Bob? I'm calling on Bob.
Okay, so I'm Bob Mitchell, First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh, with Barbara. I mentioned before, we're really trying to work in the environmental justice area. A lot of my time over the last 7-8 years has been volunteering for Citizens Climate Lobby, which has basically been trying to put a price on carbon, which is kind of, probably something we really need. And I was fortunate to get a letter to the editor in the Post-Gazette, I guess a week ago, Sunday, that talks about that. And I can't help but mention that I was disappointed that I thought there might be a bunch of letters, around Earth Day, but I didn't see much else. I thought that was a little bit disappointing. Let's see, so I will call on Kathy Westman.
Hi, I haven't been involved with too much with you people for a while, but I recognize some faces. Dee and I are often on Zooms with our senators and whatever. But in the meantime, I'm active Berkeley Hills Lutheran Church and the Lutheran Synod office. I'm on the Creation Care. So ongoing work, and we're all trying, I guess. So I'm glad this is available. I think I learned a lot tonight. Thank you.
And I see Sister Carrie Paul is with us. Carrie.
Yeah, hi. I just came hopelessly late and have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Oh, we're just introducing ourselves. We didn't do it at the beginning as we should have.
Oh, okay. I'm Carrie Pohl. I'm a sister of St. Joseph, which is a group of women religious within the Roman Catholic tradition. And I'm currently serving as a congregational coordinator of justice and peace. We're up in Beaver County.
We would love to hear about your big Earth Day celebration, Carrie. It looked beautiful.
Oh, it was fabulous. Yeah, so the weather really, really cooperated because if it had rained, we would have had to cancel it. But we had, we must have had 6 environmental organizations that were tabling, and we had a clothing and household goods exchange booth where people could bring 1 or 2 items, then take 1 or 2 items. So it was like a flea market, but a free flea market. We had live music and food truck and demonstration beehive. So yeah, it was a craft. I don't know how many, we probably had, I don't know, maybe 300, 400, 500 people come through.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. And like the weather was gorgeous. The weather was really hot, actually. I've never worried about people having heat stroke in April before, but that's kind of where we were at on Sunday because wow, it was warm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's another Earth Day celebration we have to clone ourselves for. That it looked beautiful on your website, so I'm glad it
Thank
turned
you.
out.
Yeah,
and I-
thank you.
And then there's Phoebe that I haven't seen. Well, I saw a couple of weeks ago, but we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, hi. It's nice to see you. And for others who don't know me, I'm Phoebe Sharp, and I participate at the Pittsburgh Mennonite Church, and am a member in the Peace and Justice Commission, which also tries to address some issues of sustainability as well. And I've been, over the past number of years, just trying to figure some ways to spread joy in that vein, rather than, so much of the news that we hear feels just insurmountable. And what things can we find joy in? Anyhow, so it's good to be with you all and to hear about blueberries. Yes. And yeah, they're one of the power foods, right? So
Maybe we'll have a new fruit to symbolize Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania blueberry state.
We have a new person with us tonight, I think, Wanda, Reverend Jeffrey Thomas. I wonder if he would like to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Can you
Good
hear
evening.
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you. Hey, listen, I just got out of Bible study, so I apologize for being really late, but I couldn't help it. I'm the lead pastor of All Rise Church here in Pittsburgh, and all of my elders, myself, and my other 2 ministers, and I'd say about 6 or 8 members went through the Al Gore training 2 years ago. And our church decided to land on environmental justice as a 3-year commitment. So we are just trying to find our way. We're reading as much as we can read. We're talking to as many people as we can talk to, trying to find our way in this environmental justice to determine just some of the things that we want to do. So that's why I'm here this evening with my ears on. I'm trying to learn as much as I can learn.
Reverend Thomas, could you share your contact information? Would you mind doing that?
Sure.
In the chat or something like that?
Well, okay, you're going to have to bear with me because I don't really know how to do this all that well. I'm learning.
Okay.
I'm learning. So I will click on it, and I see the little chat icon. I'll click on it and I'll put my information in. And if I'm not doing it correctly, somebody send me a chat and say, okay, here's how you do this, and I will comply.
I think you'll do it very well. Thank you.
And Reverend Thomas, were you successful in completing your registration on the PA IPL website, or did you need some additional help with that?
No, I did that, and in my church we are doing a monthly contribution as well. So I completed that, sent that in, and I don't know if we're what that means. I don't know if we're registered anywhere or whatever. So my hope is that somebody will send me an email and let me know what that means.
Okay, I will definitely do that. I think I'm the last person. Do you mind if I go a little bit, Wanda?
One question. Where is your church located?
There is no other place in Pittsburgh but Northside Pittsburgh.
Okay. Oh, great to know.
Yeah, I don't see you in the chat yet. So I do believe I have your contact information. So if you're, oh, there you are. You popped up there. Maybe an email address would be great. But while we're doing that, I just want to, oh, there he is. So that's jeff.thomas@allrisechurch.org. I'm gonna, just in case I don't have it.
So that comma is intentional? I've never seen an email address with a comma.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I told you.
All right.
Hey,
Good.
let me try it
That's
again.
fine. No,
I'm going to get this
it's
right.
fine. We just need to know not to include the comma.
Yeah,
Everything else, the
All right,
period is
hold
the
on.
period's real, right?
Right.
Okay, got
You
it.
just wanted to see if we were paying attention.
Hold the comma.
Hold the comma. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out because I don't think I have you on the mailing list right now. And we have our bike ride starting on Sunday. So we'd love to get members of your congregation involved in that, particularly a youth group if you have one, or a social justice or climate justice group if you have one. So I'll reach out to you tomorrow with all kinds of great info on that. So in order to give Wanda plenty of time for closing prayer and thoughts, I just want to reintroduce myself quickly as Kathy Rabowski with PA IPL. I just celebrated my first year with PA IPL on March 1st. It's really been a wonderful year, great journey for me, getting to know everybody, particularly in this Southwest Pennsylvania group. It's a real pleasure to work with all of you. You can always reach me at outreach@paipl.org. And unfortunately, my hat is usually kind of the funding hat. So that's not really in my makeup typically, but I'm the one who's always trying to promote our projects and find funding for projects. And one of the ways that PA IPL can really help you, particularly Reverend Thomas, since you're new to our organization, is if you have any project ideas that you would like to implement, whether in the congregation or in the neighborhood or with members, we're happy to help. We can help you find sites for organic gardening and tree planting and watershed protection, or on your own site. We can come to you in person, or we can provide virtual presentations on energy, water, waste conservation, human health and productivity, pollution, air and water, and climate justice. So we can try to help you and your congregation understand where you are on your sustainability journey, and how you can prioritize projects for yourself and implement next steps to get you to the next level on your journey. And we like to listen too. So we try to listen to what your congregation's needs are, and then we try to respond to them appropriately. So that's kind of who we are. And leading into PA IPL updates, we've been very fortunate this year to receive 3 PA Department of Environmental Protection, or DEP grants. One of them is a 3-year grant, which we're very excited about, and that's going to focus on Southwestern Pennsylvania, both Pittsburgh region and outside of Pittsburgh region, to on watershed protection and conservation. And that's going to be urban, suburban, and rural areas. So I need to really bone up on my rural knowledge on watershed protection. And the reason that we received this grant is we promised to help the DEP meet EPA requirements in their watershed program by helping people who live nearby impaired streams. The most impaired streams that are identified by the EPA, will work with them first. And that'll happen where we are. That'll happen in Lancaster, in Harrisburg and State College, and in the Philadelphia area. And then that'll be year 1. And then in years 2 and 3, we're going to expand that watershed and water conservation program to other areas around the state, really focusing in on those streams that are in most danger. So it's very exciting. And we also, late breaking news, which we weren't allowed to talk about until after April 22nd, was that we received 2 environmental DEP environmental education program grants, one in Southwestern PA and one in Philadelphia, Southeastern PA. So that's more specific, where it's going to expand on that watershed and water conservation program at 2 communities in our region, at Garfield Community Farm and at Ballfield Farm. And so we're going to be doing energy, water, and waste conservation, human health. We're going to be calling on Dee, if she's still here, to do her pollution and the human body presentations at Ballfield Farm and at Garfield Community Farm. So once we kind of get through that program, we'll be able to take that little presentation grouping on the road, and we'll be able to work with other congregations like the All Rise Church and First Unitarian and Pittsburgh Mennonite and others, and maybe come down to Baden to the Sisters of St. Joseph and work with some of your folks there as well. And then our group will be doing that in Philadelphia with the First United Methodist Church of Germantown and the Juniata Park Academy first. And then if we are successful in implementing these grants, then the DEP might extend those for 2 more years. So we might have additional 3-year programs. So we're going to work really hard to make that happen. We've taken on new fellows to help with this. We have a gentleman named Isaac Crawford, who was recommended by Patty DeMarco. He was one of her students in the Chatham's Bachelor of Sustainability program. So I'm very excited to be working with him. He seems like a great guy. He couldn't be with us tonight. He literally just started like today. So he just is finishing up his finals for the year, and he'll be joining up very soon. So he'll probably be able to join us at our next chapter meeting. And then in the we're going to be taking on another fellow in Philly, and David was successful in receiving a climate action campaign grant. So we haven't talked about that very much statewide, but what that is a really big focus on our advocacy program. So that's helping Amani Reed, our policy engagement manager, expand her work in advocacy. And it's focusing on Northeast Pennsylvania in the Scranton area, where our board member Melinda Kralkus is from, and Philadelphia and our area. So they have the Climate Action Campaign, or CAC, has particular elected officials like Susan Wild and I think it's Benjamin Cartwright out in the eastern part of the state that they want us to focus on. But we can encourage our elected representatives, typically federal, but anyone in our district, if we can get those people to reach out to Cartwright and Wild to get them on track and keep them on track for voting for the bills that we want to see pass, then that's really what we're going to be trying to do. So it's pretty exciting work, particularly for our advocacy folks. And Isaac, our fellow here in Western Pennsylvania, is going to be helping with that campaign too. So by the end of the summer, he'll probably be almost full time. we get more funding. So those are some quickie updates. And then we're, as I mentioned earlier, for the blueberries, I'll back up so that Carrie and Reverend Thomas can see some of the planting we did for Earth Day and the Pittsburgh Blueberry Project. We're going to be applying for another blueberry grant and more grants. There's not much that I have in May, but we have a lot coming up in June and July and August. There are a lot of deadlines in there. So if you have any grant projects that you're thinking about, just please let me know and I'll try to pull up something together for you so that we can get funding either from our capital budget if we have some left over from the bike ride or from some organization. Most of these grant applications that I pull proposals together for are almost for shovel ready projects. So even if you have ideas that you think you might not be ready to work on until 2023, don't hesitate to reach out early because it takes a long time to get all of our ducks in a row and then to actually put a proposal together. You know, in some cases it's like a paragraph, but in the DEP case, it was 9 pages. So, you know, it runs the whole gamut. So we can work on any size, any type of project. It's a lot of fun to do that together. Oh, and don't forget the bike ride, right, Kathy? So the bike ride starts this weekend. I'm sure you're going to get blanketed with emails this weekend. So sorry. Sister Carrie, Sisters of St. Joseph from Baden have already sponsored us. So thank you so much, Carrie. We really appreciate that. And we're looking for riders. We're looking for teams. If you would like to build a team, let me know and I'll put you in touch with our administrator, Ariel Sternman, and she'll register your group as a team. And that can be for youth or adults.
Can you explain a little bit more about the bike ride and what it is, how you ride?
Sure. Several years ago, we had an in-person event for everyone that's new. And that was really an advocacy bike ride that went from wherever you were in the state to Harrisburg. And there was an intense lobbying meeting type of schedule set up so we could talk to our elected officials and really push them to make the right decisions to help us with a sustainable future for all. And then we would ride on. Some folks were able to ride all the way to DC on their bikes and do the same thing there along the Great Allegheny Passage or the Gap Trail. But then COVID intervened and I guess there was a remote ride in 2020, but I wasn't part of that because I was not there. And I think that was successful in having people ride within their regions and lobby with their own elected officials wherever they were. And a few people rode all the way to Harrisburg and met up there. Then in 2021, we decided that we would really reimagine the bike ride as a 6 region event. So we identified trails. That's when Amani and I first started working with PA IPL and Ariel Sternman, our administrator. So we put together a new website and new policy topics. And we encouraged people in Pittsburgh, Lancaster, Harrisburg, State College, Philadelphia, and Scranton to ride specific trails in their regions. And these trails were focused on eco beauty, where you were just out there engaging in nature and enjoying the beauty of God's creation and really helping that to fuel your mission individually. And eco challenges, where in our area, for example, along the Montour Trail, you can ride past a fracking pad, which is most disturbing, and old coal mines and acid mine drainage, evidence of acid mine drainage, and then eco solutions, where then you can go on the Gap Trail and ride by something like Mill 19, which is now a net zero energy, net zero water site. And you can see what an abandoned brownfield site can become to encourage us all to keep moving forward. So we realized that we might be excluding some folks because not everybody rides a bike. So, so this year we decided to rebrand our bike trip or bike ride as a bike and hike. Sorry, my husband just came in, and so our dog is getting a little noisy. But the bike and hike is encouraging everybody to walk 50 miles or ride 100 miles. But we also want to encourage anybody to just get outside and engage with nature and on any level. If you can walk 1 mile, that's 1 mile that you didn't walk last week. So it's really to get out there and understand the beauty of nature and use that as your inspiration for moving forward. And that can be in your own neighborhood, or it can still be on one of the trails that we had identified last year. So we're trying to become and make it easier for everyone to get out there. And Amani has done a great job this year of putting together 4 policy topics or areas of interest or initiatives that we want to pursue. And you can find all of this. I'll put it in the chat. Let me see, since I'm screen sharing, it's a little trickier. I think it's PA IPL bikehike.com. It's a Wix site, or you can always reach out to me for more information.
This is wonderful because it gives congregations a way to, be able to socialize and be with each other at a distance, even to take a hike or to bike together, and maybe do a little competition with their neighborhood and with friends.
Right. We are from Southwestern PA, right? We're a little bit competitive out this way.
Also, Kath, include that it's not just for biking or hiking. You can simply walk. So if you want to just go to the local park and purposefully walk, the amount of time that you walk is fine. They really, it's for the entire month of May. So maybe just, adding a new activity and walking. Also, if you don't are unable to or don't want to participate in the walk part, we're still looking for sponsors to support those of us who are participating as walkers or hikers or bikers. So go to the website and assist us also that way.
So for everyone that's on the call tonight, I'd be happy to share information about the bike ride so you can join us this weekend. We'd love to have you bike, hike, or walk. We'd love to have you sponsor, but if you can't, then please just join us for the opening ceremony where we'll have some meditations and talk about the policy areas that we're working on as well. So it's a great idea. So, Barbara, if your mom is ailing, if you can just get her out in a wheelchair or a walker and walk around the block, that counts. It's just something she might.
A little context, she's on the other side of the country.
Oh.
So I am trying not to burn up too many airplane rides, but yeah, I'm trying to get her to move here. So
that would be fabulous.
Yeah.
That would be, takes a village. If your organization is connected with an elderly facility, a care home, a rehab facility, and you just want to put a group of people on in wheelchairs and wheel them on a trail or through a park or around the block, that would be perfect as well. We're starting to think that maybe the walking 50 miles and the biking 100 miles is a little bit frightening for some people, but we just want to primarily engage people with nature and help to bring visibility to our efforts, get our advocacy points out there, and get visibility for environmental education programs so we can reach more and more people every day. So I'm excited about that again.
Well, all of it is very exciting. This has been really an inspirational meeting. And I got to tell you, the board and staff at PA IPL is amazing. Dee Kaczurka has been on the board for a couple of years. Patty DeMarco, that you probably all have heard of if you don't know, is on there. And also Kelly Yakatich is young and wonderful. And actually, she's a cantor in her church. So these are really powerful people. So thank you so much. So I'd like to ask everybody, now that we know each other a little bit, if you can just say, what is enriching your life and making it happier at this moment? Well, blueberries for one. and just read.
Flowering trees, they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just spent a weekend with family in California, and that was rejuvenating to be around that kind of love, and to have the love of my family and friends when we get out into nature is very fulfilling for me.
We also visited family over the past week. Our son and his fiance up in Massachusetts, and that was a lot of fun. You know, did some fun things, and you know, now we're back to reality. But it was a nice break.
I think having a sense of purpose, because we're all part of this human community, we're all part of the community on the planet, and so the more we can reach out to each other and participate with each other and build community, gives us a sense of purpose.
I think it's just springtime for me, although it seems to come and go, but makes me happy when the sun shines.
Yeah, for me, this is always, April is the cruelest month because it's the end of the school year, the end of the semester, and I'm running on empty kind of, and I'm taking care of my students, and they're taking care of me too. But I'm really pleased that we have a sort of mutual learning community, so that's keeping me going. No one wants to follow that.
No, I'm thinking we just celebrated Joe's 80th birthday, and we had an awful lot of family. It was just the close family, so it was only like 21 people, 25, I guess it was eventually, grandchildren and children. And it was such a great celebration. I think the thing that I've missed most in the last couple of years is those kind of celebrations where you have the whole family together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we're ready to close our meeting after all of this excitement. And so I wanted to draw attention to the next solstice, the summer solstice that's coming up. And I'm hoping that you have plans for celebrating the summer solstice with others wherever you are. So it comes on Tuesday, June 21st. And it'll be the day when the sun seems to stand still. We're going to have more sunshine and less nighttime. So here is a blessing. May the long time sun shine upon you and love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. So is there any last minute thing anybody would like to say? We're happy to be together, happy to hear all this, happy you are here with us all. So good night for now.
Good night.
Good night.
you.
God bless.
Good night. Thank
Thank you.
you.